had a vinyl community meetup yesterday. Stick around to hear all about it. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Every fall, myself and Brian from Embryonic Robot and Chris from Stylist Meets Vinyl have a vinyl community meetup, get together when Chris is in town. And that was this weekend, yesterday as a matter of fact. And so our plan, we can do things a little different this time. Normally we meet in Toronto, but our plan was to meet in Hamilton, Ontario, which is 40 minutes west of Toronto, just kind of for a change of scenery. There's a street in Hamilton called Ottawa Street North, where there's 3 record shops like within a block of each other. So we thought we would hit those. One of them is one that I frequent all the time that I really, really like. So that was our plan. But like all best laid plans, they don't always work out. Chris was coming from where he lives, which is about 6 hours away, and highway closures and detours and traffic. And he texted me just as I was getting there saying, I'm not going to make it, which is unfortunate. And Illinois' Jason Skills was supposed to be joining us all the way from Ottawa. And he texted Brian saying, I'm not going to be able to make it. So it was just Brian and I, which is fine, miss hanging out with Chris. And I was looking forward to finally meeting Jason in person, but we make the best of it. Brian and I still had a good time. The plan was we were going to meet at 4 o'clock at a place called Stardust Records on Ottawa Street. I've seen it, but I've never gone in. And so Brian and I met there. Brian got there a few minutes before I did. And let's just say that place was a disappointment. Not to speak ill, I guess, of that business, but my honest critique. Pretty good selection. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff in a very tight space. So it's organizationally a bit of a challenge. But my complaint with that store, and Brian felt the same way, their prices were really high. There was stuff I would have bought, but in a lot of cases, things were almost twice what they should have been, I thought, for some things, for a lot of things. But Brian had got there a few minutes before I did, and he's like, I found something that you might be interested in. And this was the one and only record that either of us picked up at Stardust, because hadn't seen it before. Now, this is Tom Cochrane, legendary Canadian singer-songwriter, just inducted into the Canadian Songwriting Hall of Fame last month. And I met him last month. There's a video about that. He released his debut album before he joined Red Rider. I think the debut came out in like 74-ish, I think. And it wasn't Tom Cochrane. It was Cochrane for some odd reason. And it was called Hang On To Your Resistance. I'll put an image on the screen of what the album looked like. This is a reissue from 87. Capital of Canada put this out, I guess, to capitalize on the fame of Red Rider, which was quite at the top of its game at that point in time. So this is Tom's solo debut before joining Red Rider, but reissue. I don't know any of the songs off of here. Tom played a couple of them when I saw him last month, but I hadn't seen it around and I had always been looking for it. So I don't care that it's a reissue necessarily. If I ever find the original, I'll probably pick it up. But because I love pretty much everything Tom has put out, thrilled to get this. This was reasonably priced. This was $15. Should have been 15, should have been 10. Whatever. A little punch out in the corner, but the record looks like it has never been played. There's not a mark on, not even a fingerprint on it. It's great and plays quite well. So thrilled to add this to my Tom Cochrane collection. The rest of his stuff is easy to find. This isn't just because no one associates this album by some person named Cochrane as being him. So there aren't a lot of these around. Glad to find it. After we left Stardust, we went literally 3 buildings down the street to another store called Where Heads Meet. Let's be honest, it's a record store that exists so people can buy pot smoking supplies. If that's your thing, cool. No judgment here. Not my thing, but whatever. Legal here, I don't care. None of my business. Records seem to be secondary for what that store sells. However, they say they have 80,000 records or whatever. And there is a record section in the middle of the store with some new stuff and some used. It's okay. I didn't find anything that grabbed me. There's a room in the back that has, it's like a virtual vinyl library, right? It is stacks and stacks of just tens of thousands of records. Brian remarked, did this guy go to every garage sale and just buy every record he found? It seems that way. A lot of stuff that was a lot of crap. There was also a lot of, reasonably good stuff too. Just nothing that either of us were particularly looking for. There was also so much, it's kind of hard to look through everything. It was alphabetized by artist and genre, but, nothing sleeved. It's just bulk records. And maybe if we'd spent more time, neither of us were particularly thrilled with what we saw in terms of the selection. So we decided to move on. And we ended up at one of my favorite record stores, Revolution Records. Man, I love that place. I go there all the time and I spend way too much money. Great guys in there. I always end up shooting the breeze with them. Great group of guys. And I just love the selection in there. A lot of new, good used. I've never not spent money. Even when I've gone in just to buy like record sleeves or something, I end up buying records. Like, great selection. So I spent too much money there. I'll show you what I got. Okay, so the first thing I picked up, I've never seen before, just because I hadn't seen it in the wild, but I love these two. This is Delaney and Bonnie. This is called D&B Together. Delaney and Bonnie, Bramlett. I have a couple other records by them, and I've shown before their album Delaney and Bonnie on Tour with Eric Clapton and Friends. That was my dad's favorite record of all time, and I have his copy. And so that was the only Delaney and Bonnie record he ever had. I've found a couple since then. Their debut album, Home, I've got the Kraft reissue of that. And then I've got an FM concert recording from the Eric Clapton tour. And this is their last album, which came out in 1972, just prior to them separating and then ultimately divorcing. I love Delaney and Bonnie. I don't know how to describe it. Roots rock, I guess. Their claim to fame is they had a lot of friends. Eric Clapton, George Harrison, Duane Allman, Billy Preston. They always played with an all-star cast of characters. And all of those people play on this record in various capacities. And it's great. It's just up-tempo, barnstorming, good rock and roll. And man, I love it. It's as good as, not quite as good as the live record, but damn near. So thrilled to have found this. I guess this is a reissue. This is a first pressing, but this was the major label reissue. They had previously recorded this album. I think it was called Country Life on a smaller label. And then Columbia released it the following year on Columbia. So that's what this is, first pressing, of course. But yeah, thrilled to have another Delaney and Bonnie record. I think there's only two more that I need. I think they only put out 4 or 5. So thrilled that I have this. I know the old man would love it. Then I picked up an album from the 90s that I listened to a lot back in the day. Ben Folds 5. This is Whatever and Amen. Probably remember Ben Folds had really kind of one big hit called Brick back in 1997. It's on this record. I remember listening to this a lot. I enjoyed it. It's, it's piano-driven, piano-driven pop rock, I guess. Piano-driven contemporary pop. I don't know how you describe it. But it's good. I like Ben Folds. He's a talented guy. I guess he's still out there doing stuff. This is really the only album of his that I know. So because I had listened to it a lot back in the 90s and it was on sale, I grabbed it. Okay, don't tune out because you're going to hear this record and roll your eyes and go, oh shit, there's a good one that follows this one. But bear with me. Taylor Swift Midnights. Now, I have a copy of Midnights already. This is an unofficial release. This is the 3 a.m. edition. So she put out an extended release digitally and on CD that had an extra 7 songs on it, I think. She called it the 3 a.m. edition. Was never pressed on vinyl legitimately. So this is an unofficial release. I picked it up because I want to have all the songs, and because it's probably never coming out in this version on vinyl. I grabbed one of these. It was reasonably priced because I wanted those extra songs. And then I told you I'd finish this out with a serious record. This is a band I love. This is the Downchild Blues Band. Canada's preeminent blues outfit, led by Donnie Walsh, who I've met. These guys were the inspiration for the Blues Brothers. You know, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. Well, Dan Aykroyd knew these guys. They're from Kingston, Ontario. That's where he's from. These guys are from somewhere in Ontario. So he saw them play a lot, and they were the inspiration for the Blues Brothers. I have a couple Downchild albums, and I saw this one. This is one they did with Spencer Davis, as you can tell. Anything the Downchild Blues Band does is phenomenal. They've been going for 45, 50 years or whatever. I think they're on their farewell tour right now. I just love everything that they do. If you like the Blues Brothers, you will like the Downchild Blues Band. That's what it is. So I haven't heard this yet. Excited to hear it. I mean, get Spencer Davis on there. It's got to be great. So there you go, folks. The fruits of my haul. Great digging with Brian from Embryonic Robot. Really missed Chris from Stylus Meets Vinyl. He took a detour on his way and went somewhere else, several hours away from where we were, on his way to Toronto. So I'm sure Chris will do a video about that. It's unfortunate Jason couldn't make it either. But we'll do it again at some point in time. But at least I got to hang out with Brian for a few hours, and I bought some records. So watch out for Brian's video. I'm sure he'll post one as well. That's everything for me today, everybody. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.